Hey, Warriors, for this final session of Warriors in Hope 2022, I want to stretch you, hopefully motivate you, empower you, get you thinking that it's time to take action. The fact of the matter is that people are watching you and they are waiting to be inspired by you. If you don't stand up and show them what courage looks like, who will? If you don't prove it's possible to find your way out of the darkness, who will? Are you going to leave it to chance that someone else will come along and be that light for them? Why not you? In the last communication I had with my daughter before her death, she asked me for just one thing, and it was my book, Still Standing After All the Tears. And of course, that book was very much about her story. It was about mine and ours. Unknowingly, that email exchange would be our last. And I'm not sharing this with you to make you sad. I'm sharing this with you because there's such an incredibly important message for you. In her final words, she said, "I'm seriously the most blessed girl in the world to have such an amazing mother to stand up with me. I still love you forever and ever to the moon and back, and possibly twice, maybe even 3 times. I love you, Mommy. I'm so proud of you." That's the part I want you to get. I want you to remember that no matter how lost somebody is, they might still be watching you. I never doubted Jamie's love or admiration for me. I didn't. Not that all of our communication was always so wonderful, but I always knew what she thought of me. But when she said, "I'm so proud of you," it is the statement that has had the most profound impact on me. I believe it is a divine message for you, sent through Jamie and through me. This is something you should take to heart, because Jamie wasn't proud of me when I was trying to save her. She wasn't proud of me when I was wearing my supermom cape and was held captive by her beast and by mine. She wasn't proud of me when I was crying in the walk-in closet or self-destructing with each passing day. She was proud of me because I was fighting. My happiness and sense of purpose were no longer on her shoulders. She was proud of me because I had once again found happiness, and I found it in the middle of the darkness. And so can you. She was proud of me because I was making a difference in the world. And this is important. She was proud of me for my courage. People are watching you. And I hope when you were hearing that story, that images of certain people came to your mind. Maybe you have someone in your life who's struggling to find their way. They need you to believe in them, not to save them. They need you to prove that it's possible to stand in your darkest days because you did. Maybe you've got someone very young in your life who will encounter difficulties on their trip through life, because everybody will. They need you to help them build courage now before they're going to need it. They need that example. Even if they don't consciously know they're watching you, they are. How about someone you know is watching you? Are you going to let the opportunity pass by? Are you really going to do that? I mean, what about you? Do you want to leave all of your potential, or even some of your potential, on the playing field of life? Do you want to hit the pearly gates and go, "Dang it, I regret that I didn't choose courage, that I didn't step up"? That was one of my overarching reasons that I stood up to fight in my darkest days. That day when I found myself standing in my kitchen telling my husband, "I don't want to be here anymore." When I heard those words, I thought, really? That can't be my legacy for Sean. That was my biggest motivator at the time. I didn't have what it took to stand for myself in those days. Eventually I did, but I found a reason to stand. And it wasn't just so that he wouldn't be sad. It was because I had a tremendous opportunity in front of me, and I wasn't going to let it go by. And I'm going to tell you another message. I'm going to share this one from my son, Sean, and this one is also going to have such a profound impact, and it's why I'm sharing it with you. He said, "I just wanted to tell you that I'm so very proud of you, and I'm so honored that you're my mom. God literally gifted you to me, and I couldn't be more fortunate. Jamie would be so proud of you and everything you have done. You are truly amazing. The reason these types of messages that I have received from Sean are so significant is because I could have easily been receiving very different messages from him. Have you seen that show, Ordinary Joe? I love that show. It's just really fun to watch, and it's very interesting to see the dynamics. But what it's about is this guy named Joe, and it starts out on his college graduation day. And the show takes 3 different paths. By Joe making one of 3 different decisions, the trajectory of his life changes, and it follows him along these 3 different paths. It's really, really cool to watch. The writing's really amazing. But I was thinking the other day about my own story, and maybe you can think about yours as I'm explaining this. Maybe one day I'll write a show, a screenplay. It'll be called Ordinary Valerie. Only this one would just need 2 paths. And it would start for me on the day I stood in my kitchen and told Rich I didn't want to be here anymore. I was standing at a crossroads. Maybe you're standing at a crossroads right now. One of those journeys, one of those paths would be the one that you are a part of, that you're already aware of. That's why you're here watching this today. The other would depict a very different story. Both of them starting from that day in the kitchen. But in the second story, I didn't decide to stand up and fight. I didn't take the opportunity to teach Sean and even Jamie, and I didn't have the opportunity to meet any of you because my life took a very different path. It very likely could have meant divorce, probably scenes where I received messages from Sean begging me to stop being sad, to quit forgetting about him and everybody else. Maybe in that story, there are grandchildren that I don't even end up knowing. That story probably would end very sad and lonely. A woman still trapped in her self-imposed prison of depression, grief, regret, shame, guilt, and all the rest. Remember, the story started the same. I was standing at that crossroads, and that might be where you are today. Your time on earth is fleeting, but it's valuable beyond measure. The most exciting thing about our lives is that we can live on in the world forever. Little pieces of ourselves are deposited into other people. And it doesn't have to be something grand on a huge scale. The folks we interact with on a daily basis, our loved ones, our coworkers, and even people you haven't met yet. My first motivational speaker was named Ron, and Ron didn't write a book. He didn't do video. Well, we didn't even have video back then. He wasn't on a big stage. It was in a small house in the Seattle area around their kitchen table. And Ron was the father of my best friend at the time, Chris. And Ron was the kind of guy who always had a positive attitude. And I don't remember why he was saying it to us that day. But what he said was, the part I can remember was, when you have a bad attitude, you can't eat right, you can't sleep right, you can't poop right, you can't do anything right. Of course, 2 11-year-olds cracked up, but isn't that the truth? Those words were wise. Were they profound? Not really. The point isn't really what he said. The point is that that piece of Ron got down inside of me. It's not my entire story, but it's part of my story. It's part of my story of victory and courage and leaving a lasting legacy of hope. And now with me telling you that story, and maybe just me helping you a little bit along on your journey, that means that a piece of me gets down inside of you. But here's what's important. A piece of Ron, whom you've never met, is now inside of you. We can literally leave deposits inside of other people. And in that way, we live on in the world forever. Isn't that super cool? That little Ron story, you can't poop right story, those words, those weren't on their own going to cause me to write a bestseller, but they're part of a story. They're part of my message. And that's what you have the opportunity to do. And here's the bottom line. We are leaving deposits in people, whether we're trying to or not. It's happening. So why not? Why not you be that person that stands up in the darkness? Why not you be the one that impart some words of wisdom that somebody talks about decades from now. Don't take the chance that those little pieces of you that need to be left in the world, a world that so desperately needs you, that it doesn't happen. Or worse yet, the wrong types of pieces of you get left in the world forever. Don't wait for somebody else to do it. Don't wait for somebody else to be the person who makes a difference in somebody else's life. Why wait for someone else to stand up and shine when it can be you? Why not you?